Welcome to the Edition Wars podcast, where we take a deep dive into the mechanics and playstyles of all of the editions of our favorite game. We look at what worked, what didn't, what led to better games, as well as what didn't, and we talk about it all. In this episode, we're going to discuss Chapter 5 of the 3rd edition Unearthed Arcana. This is a chapter on magic. And just as a little spoiler, if you listen to the 12 Days of Edition Wars, where we did 3 episodes on players' options, spells, and magic, there's going to be some retreads, y'all.
I don't know why you would say such a thing.
Let's dig into the chapter and find out. I bet I'll tell people as we go.
So this is, for those of you following along at home, this is the Chapter 5, the Magic chapter in the 3.5 Unearthed Arcana book that we have been taking a deep dive into. And so this chapter, as Brandis has mentioned, is it has quite a bit in common with the entire Spells and Magic book from 2.5 edition. But let's assume for a moment that our listeners either have not listened to that because they're not interested in that particular edition, or that if they did listen to it, it was 7 or 8 months ago now because they listened to it when it got released, which was Christmas 2019. So let's not burden them with forcing them to go back and listen to it. Although, dear listeners, if you would like to, I have no problem. Just pause, go listen to the other episode. We'll be here when you get back. Okay, everybody's back. Now, we begin this chapter with magic rating.
Well, we begin this chapter with them saying the variants in this chapter are organized in ascending order of their likely impact on a campaign. That's an interesting thing to say. We'll see if that's true. I'm really curious. So magic rating.
Magic rating. So magic rating is a way to allocate spell points a little slightly bit differently from how they are allocated when a magic using PC levels up. And basically all it does is it takes a certain amount of points and it puts them on a table, and it says, well, if you are a particular class that you like, say a bard, cleric, druid, sorcerer, or wizard, very high magic using classes, you are going to earn magic rating points. You'll have a magic rating. It's not really points because you don't really spend them, but you'll earn magic rating points at a rate of basically 1 per level. So by the time you're 5th level, you have 5 of them, and by the time you're 13th, you have 13 of them, and by the time you're 20th, you've got 20 magic rating of 20. It's not really points, right? I keep talking like it is, but it's not. But really, basically, all it is it's a stand-in number that takes the place of the spell level. Basically, it replaces your caster level. You know, in 3rd edition, when you cast a spell, caster level has a lot to do with the range and how many targets and the area of effect and the duration and all that stuff, and the difficulty if it needs to be dispelled. All that stuff is connected to caster level. So what they've done is, with the magic rating system, they replaced caster level with a magic rating by class. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you're a bard, cleric, druid, sorcerer, wizard, a high casting class, well, that's just the same. Your 20th level, you have magic rating 20. Your 5th level, you have magic rating 5. But if instead you're a monk, paladin, or ranger, a lower sort of magic casting class, then you begin at 1st level with a 0 magic rating. And you don't get 1 until 2nd and 3rd level, and then 4th and 5th, you're at a magic rating 2. By the time you get to 20th level, your magic rating is only 10. If you are a barbarian, fighter, or rogue, by the time you get to 20th level, your magic rating never gets any higher than 5. So, in other words, it's a way to separate out the powerfulness of a magical casting by class.
Well, right, and that really matters for multi-classing purposes.
Right, exactly.
And so the magic rating you get from that C column is actually better than you'd otherwise be getting because it's not 0.
Well, after 3rd level.
Sure, yes. After 3rd level,
yes,
it's not 0.
Yes.
It's a marginal benefit, but it's literally anything, right? And I mean, this is an acknowledgement that multiclassing a pure spellcaster with anything else isn't great. But
Well, and then
here multiclassing two different primary spellcasters together is less horrible than it could be.
right. And also, it even, the very first thing that happens after it explains the system, it gives you an optional variant that allows you to basically say, I'm going to discourage multiclassing by making it really onerous in terms of what your magic rating is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. It's okay. Like, it's fine.
It's fine.
There's also a description of how you apply the magic rating system to monsters, right? It's all right. I don't. You mentioned earlier that they start out by saying, "Well, we're presenting these in the order of least effect on your game." And I kind of feel like, yeah, that's accurate. This isn't really going to have much of an effect, especially if you're a non-multiclassing class.
Though it's going to be a hard race against the next section, because anyway.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, this is kind of, it's a page of information. It's a variation. It's a kind of a, the thing about it is, here's the good thing about it, right? When I was reviewing this chapter, getting ready for this recording, I thought to myself, I want to be able to say like at least one kind of good thing about every section, and because a lot of these I'm just going to say a bunch of bad stuff about. And I don't want to seem like I'm just saying bad about everything, right? So there's going to be our first beep for the episode. So here's the good thing about this. They're kind of setting the stage for the players and the DM to just slightly shift their thinking about magic and magic use and how powerful magic spells are affected, right? They're kind of just shifting that. So, if you're a DM that likes to futz around and make lots of homebrew changes to the game, the way that you play it at your table, this is kind of permission to just think of magic as a different thing, a little tiny bit different. If you have players that are hesitant or that really don't want to change things in a big way, this is a way to kind of change things in a slightly less impactful way, and still feel like you're making some tweaks if you have a problem.
Right. And so this is an issue in multiclassing that they're going to keep trying to solve in later expansions, right? In later splat books. It's going to get solved with feats that do things like +4 to your caster level, but your caster level can't be greater than your character level.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so that's for when you took 4 levels of fighter to go with your, right. I don't know, wizard or whatever.
Yeah.
So your caster level doesn't lag. Well, this might save you a feat. It doesn't have a lot of drawbacks aside from just being like a mathier version of multiclassing. But I mean, in a lot of ways, we still see 5e kind of playing in the sandbox of this idea in the multiclassing rules. The fact that if you're multiclassing, say, wizard with a fighter that isn't the Eldritch Knight, your fighter levels aren't giving you any new spell slots, though they are improving your cantrips. That kind of push and pull of how can we get this to feel right without being horribly onerous. Like, fighter levels don't need to be giving you more spell slots, because if you're a pure fighter, they wouldn't be giving you spell slots. But wait, but what? And so this is trying to address that, and I can respect the goal. There's nothing wrong with the implementation. It just isn't exciting either.
Right. It's not fancy. It's not. I get the idea, right? Like, if you're a wizard and you multiclass into fighter, you're still a wizard.
Right.
Right. And so as you gain those experience points to level up, but you multiclass into fighter, yes, you're learning new fighter things, but you're still a wizard. You're still So I get it. It's just not exciting.
Yeah, and yeah. So there's also handling for magic ratings for monsters, which does actually matter because in 3.0 and 3.5, it is a very real part of creature design for encounters to tack a bunch of caster levels or a bunch of character levels of any kind onto a monster stat block and then build them as a character with their monster stat block treated as functionally their race, and you just tack more stuff on top of that. That's how it works. It's incredibly onerous in actual use. I've talked about it before. It's a thing that just makes all encounter building take forever in 3rd edition because honestly, once you're sorting out skill points for that dragon that also has wizard levels for some reason, then you're gonna be here all week.
Yeah, it's a please go away now.
Right, and it's sort of like us in this topic. Let's move on to
Yeah, let's move on then.
to summon monster variants.
So, go ahead. I'll let you talk about this, and then I'll tell you what I think about it.
Sure. So the concept here is that a tightly themed summoning list says more about who your character is and what they're into than a generic summoning list such as that found in Summon Monster I through Summon Monster X. I'm literally disappointed that it's not Summon Monster X, by the way. I swear to God I got that wrong like the first 12 times I read it. It's Summon Monster 9, and I'm just disappointed in all of us. Anyway,
as long as it's not Summon Monster MCM, I think you're okay.
Fair. So this is really all about defining an identity for your character by messing with their summon list, and I guess from a certain perspective it might feel video gamey in a way, but I don't actually dislike this as a concept. It's just that it circles back to you need a stat block that you can easily build for all of these monsters because most of them are a monster plus a template. So you can't just read out of the book. That is a nightmare. While we're on the topic, summoners in 3.0 and 3.5 are a nightmare because they just slow down play so much because there's no concentration on their spell, so they can cast one spell, the next round they cast another spell, and now they have 5 pets running around the battlefield. Right. Cool.
Right. So, but that aside, because this is not trying to fix that, and it's not. Yeah. So that aside, there's 2 reasons I love this section.
Sure.
And I love it despite the fact that I don't really give a crap about summoners. I mean, honestly, I really don't.
That's fair.
Especially in 3rd edition. But here's the reason I love it. There's 2 reasons. Number one, I love the idea of a curated summon list. In fact, in one of my Castles and Crusades games, I have a curated cleric list because the spells that you get access to depend on which deity you follow as a cleric. If you're devoted to that deity, you have access to different spells. You have a different spell list. And I love that idea. I think it's rich with role-playing potential. And, I'm not a tyrant. So, if a player wants to play a cleric, but they really want this spell that's not on their list, we talk about it. Like, it's not like I'm, put the hammer down. No, absolutely not. That's not the idea. The idea is just to make it so that your character has a shtick, right? Oh, I'm going to summon. Oh, well, I'm a petitioner of Yeenoghu. So since I'm a petitioner of Yeenoghu, I can summon these things and not other things. And to me, that's a very interesting way to have some character differentiation. So that's the first reason that I kind of like this section. Because I appreciate the idea of curating spell lists or summon lists. The second reason I like this is that this is really trying to, it's not just saying, oh, hey, here's the examples of some summoning lists. It's saying, yeah, here's some examples, but here's how to create this for a summoner in your game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate the fact that it's really meant to be a lesson in here's how you do this, because it tells you how to build the summoning list for a particular, for a character that has a particular theme or thematically built, whatever. And I just appreciate that. I think that just in general, D&D books don't do enough of that. They give some examples and they give some rationale, and then they don't often provide well, here's how to think about this as you go about it. And here are things where you could change this, and here are things where you shouldn't change it, and here's what you might want to think about as you're thinking about changing that.
Well,
and that's what a lot of DMs need.
Yeah. Well, all I'm going to say is once you get to individualized summoning lists, really, you got to catch them all. That's Pokemon joke.
Yeah, got it. I got it. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know if it was from way after your time.
I was
right.
I was pausing for the audience to get a good guffaw in there before I. That's right. Yeah.
I'm gonna owe some apologies, people who will have learned the keyboards.
No, it's just that not another Charizard.
Yeah. Right.
Dire rats again. Damn it.
Fucking Rattata.
Why can't I ever get a Summon Monster X?
Right.
Anyway, so I don't really have much more to say about this particular section, other than I think it's a great little template way of showing a DM how to make that, or showing a player how to make that. There is this concept of the constraints in a situation or in an activity, allowing for more creativity, because if you know where the constraints are, you know that you can push those boundaries or try to go around them or stay within them, and now you can use your creativity to adhere to whatever part of that you want to. And so I feel like these summon monster lists have the possibility of doing that. If a person really wants to make their own personalized summon monster list, that might actually provide them with, a way to, make their character special or something. I don't know.
I can't help but feel like there's a little bit of a deck building card game that you could turn this into that would be a really fun sideline for that player. But that's fine.
Sure.
So next we get metamagic components.
Yep.
And this section is mostly tables, which Sam will be reading to you line by line.
Acid Fog. Extended. Powdered Gorgon Hoof. 940 gold pieces.
We'll be here a while.
Acid Splash. Enlarged. Rare Toad Skin. 20 gold pieces. Doon. Okay.
So this is the idea of converting treasure into metamagic, just straight up. There's a sidebar that talks about it in a bit more detail as to how, the point of this is that if you do this a lot, it's going to put you behind the treasure curve. Mm-hmm. That's the goal. It will shove you behind the treasure curve, and that's how you're paying for not having bought a metamagic feat, but still getting the benefit. And then there's some byplay about how it compares to the cost of a scroll that made me bleed from the eyes, and so I stopped reading it. But that's fine. But right, the idea is that they've gone through all of the spells in the player's handbook and assigned them one or more metamagic options and a component that's paired with it, or they are noting for this spell there's just nothing at all. There's no meta magic you perform on this ever for any reason, and so we're not doing that.
For example, I'll give you
sure.
Chain Lightning. The meta magic effect is maximized, and the component is a fist-sized chunk of magnetic stone. The minimum cost is 4,350 gold pieces. Now, the clone spell can have no meta magic effect applied to it at all. It has no, therefore, meta magic component, and also no minimum cost.
And I'd like to just point out that for anyone who's read the Vorkosigan saga, you know for sure that a widened clone is a totally normal thing.
Of course.
It's deep cuts o'clock here, guys. I don't know what to tell you.
This is what happens when I postpone the recording till a later time.
Yeah, I started drinking at a normal recording time, so you just got to catch up.
Excellent. So anybody who knows me knows I love this. I love it. I love it. Here's the thing. I don't know how well it works in play. And like you said, it really puts you behind the 8 ball on the wealth curve. And that's a bad thing in 3.5 for reasons that we've talked about in other shows. If you are interested and this is the first time you're listening to us, that's in the last series, which was about how you have your economy in your D&D. Anyway, but I love this because I love the idea of having to curate components that are different from the typical components so that you can do something different with a spell. This to me has the same effect as that whole summoning list, right? Where, you can specialize in a certain spell that you use a component to create the empowered version of that spell. And no one else in the region does that, right? That's a world building effect that you've got there.
Well, yeah, and it's actually an even stronger play in 5th edition than it is in 3rd.
Right.
Because 5th edition's economy does not care as much about gold. Just giving you this as a place to dump gold is amazing. Also, it's not like you aren't buying a meta magic feat. Well, you're not, but it's because it isn't for sale.
Right. You're not.
Other than Metamagic Adept in the recent UA document. We'll see if that goes official, but I'd say the odds are real fucking good.
Yeah. but you get the point, though, right? So in 3rd edition, you would not be buying the feat because you are spending the resources to get the component instead. So you don't need the feat.
But in fairness, this is also so much versatility because this would be buying so stinking many feats that no one could ever do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and also from the GM's perspective, and that's my perspective usually, this is a MacGuffin hunt right here. Like I do this in 5th edition too. If a PC wants to cast a spell, not every component is just easily findable. Like, the low level spells, generally speaking, their components are not that difficult to have. So they generally have them on hand. But do you know how hard it is to find a jade studded mask or an obsidian headpiece or liquid amber whenever you just want to cast the spell? Like, you don't, like, sometimes that is a fetch quest in itself, and sometimes it's a fetch quest for a patron. And some, so for me, I like these kinds of lists, and I like, there's like a whole thing with monster parts lists, right? Like what part of that monster can you harvest, right? If the party runs into it, and then you can sell that either on the black market or on the magic market or on the gray market, or for whatever, or you could use it yourself if you're a spellcaster that wants that component, right? Like that. I love that because to me, I see those as really strong ways to world build.
Sure.
And so I like that sort of play, and that's what this provides.
Yeah, and this, like, you would need to do a very tiny bit of massaging, but bringing this straight into your 5th edition game is really very doable. And like, I did see some other implementations of this idea in 3rd edition over in Arcana Evolved. There was something that was very much like this, but with a small table rather than 8 pages of table.
Every spell, yes.
Yeah. But what I want to know about your world building, Sam, is what does it take to get a gem-encrusted bowl with at least 1,000 gold pieces?
Well, see, that's and is it just any gem encrusted bowl,
Right.
or does it have to have a specific design, right? And this is where we get into what we talked about in a previous episode, where we talked about the effect of culture, right? And how if that bowl was produced by a certain individual from a certain culture, or from a certain population, or from a certain region, that's going to have a different effect than any old person who makes really great bowls. But you know what I mean? That's
Yeah. Oh, and it is kind of cool that in some cases you are getting both silent and stilled, for example.
Right.
I'd love it if they had gone for a few more cases of you get a duo for a single component. That'd be just because it's more different and more weird.
Right.
That would have been pretty rad.
Well,
Anyway,
here's one. The whale of the banshee. you get enlarged and widened.
Oh
But
no!
the component is trapped banshee essence.
You can probably buy that at your local curiosity shop.
Yeah. The local Hannaford's down the street. It's just in jars. Just look for the green label. Yeah.
Right. But so that's actually another nice thing about this is that, like, if you watched a lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, as I did, and there's a magic shop, what do they sell at a magic shop in D&D? Because selling a ton of magic items is not great. It's just not. Right. And it's not really right for, like, that magic shop. Oh, they sell high-end components that actually make your spell world-endingly amazing. Okay, fair. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
But the other great thing about this section that I want to make sure we touch on is how many sidebars this section has. It is friggin' dripping sidebars. And
5? Do I count 5?
Yeah, they want to talk about meta magic and how it intersects with sorcery, and what the different designers, in this case James Wyatt and Ed Stark, do in their own games to make meta magic more appealing for sorcerers. For us in the heady days of 5th edition, this is a great irony, because only sorcerers get meta magic.
Right.
And that's a weird thing. But right, in 3rd edition, meta magic is sort of not very appealing to sorceress types. They are expected to have the one way they cast, and everything else is kind of just they cast the spell they cast. They don't do that kind of on the spot replanning, because they have to spend more action time to do it, and that's a weird set of choices. But sure. But we're going to get another section on sorcerers and meta magic next. So,
right.
Is there anything else you want to say about this section?
No, it's just it's up my alley. Although I would completely bastardize it and do it differently from what they've presented here.
For sure.
But this sort of content is ripe for me to steal it and play with it, and so I love that.
Yeah. And the bit on fanciful meta magic components just reminds me of the chapter on magic item creation from the 2nd edition DMG that is forever seared into my memory, as it talks about fanciful item crafting, where your component list is a series of riddles, and you need to figure out how to do that thing.
Right, we had a pretty extensive conversation about that.
But this just calls that back to mind.
Yeah, and it fits. The only and this has this sort of same danger, but the only the example they give is if the darkness spell has a metamagic component that is, quote, the coal mined and kept in total darkness, right? So coal mined and kept in total darkness. And then it says, well, that's evocative and it's not necessarily hard to find, but there's an inherent disadvantage because you can accidentally spoil that component because it has to be kept in total darkness. So how do you know? You have to have your timing just right to expose it, or never ever expose it to light until you cast the spell. And that just feels ripe for a DM to say, oh, well, I know you thought you were going to do that, but the coal has been spoiled somehow. There was a pinhole in the container and whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So it's a little bit of, you can fiddle with it too much and um, make it more of a gotcha and less of a wow, that's cool,
Mhm.
So anyway.
Yeah, and that can also be a table culture thing. If you
Sure.
need a kind of cost for failure that isn't you take hit points of damage or
Mhm.
you've reached catastrophic failure and the skill challenge ends, like something happens to spoil some of your special components is pretty
Right.
legit.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
So spontaneous meta magic is the next section, even though it sounds like I was just talking about it. Whatever you may have heard. Now we're going to actually cover it.
I do want to point out that they call it a radical concept. And they don't mean radical in the 80s, wow, man, that's rad version. They mean radical as in so different and out of the normal plane of what's acceptable for third edition that this should blow your mind. Anyway.
This is not super easy to absorb in reading. What does this do, Sam? Save me, Sam. I have no idea what I'm looking at.
Basically, these are okay, so when you just think of metamagic, you're thinking of things that allow you to change something about the spell, the effect of the spell, right? Range, all that stuff. This lets you do that too, but basically, so the word spontaneous is important here because basically it just means that instead of having to plan ahead, you can decide to apply a metamagic effect on the spur of the moment. I'm not
okay. So sure. So it's two things. So one of them is treating metamagic feats as a set number of daily uses of that benefit. So instead of you can always just keep doing this thing, but you do it at time of spell prep. It is you can you can apply that to your spells a set number of times per day, which involves a formula.
But the thing here is what's set in stone is the number of times you can do it, not which one you choose or what spell you apply it to. That's the key there. That's what makes it spontaneous, is that you kind of have these daily powers, nod to 4th edition. You kind of have these daily powers that you get to choose when you unleash it on the fly, which is what makes it the spontaneous part.
Well, right, and it's not a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier or a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, but it'd be mighty recognizable if it were. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah.
And then there's also extra spell slots, which is like you pay your upcharge.
Mm-hmm.
Fine, like that really is very 5th edition because it's the at higher levels bit, right?
Right. Yeah, when you cast a spell in a higher slot. Yeah.
And I think we all pretty much agree that the upcasting option in 5th edition is friggin' amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's such a killer app in the design of 5th edition.
Yeah, and it's actually one of the things. Well, now I'm going to go on a 5th edition tangent, but it's one of the things in 5th edition that I sort of look at it and I think, how did we never do this before?
Right. So
right, because it seems so obvious and simple to implement, and it works so well.
Well, so in Monty Cook's Arcana Evolved, that is actually a thing. There's a diminished and a heightened option, like a one up, one down option for most of the spells. Some of them
Okay.
only have a diminished, some only have a heightened, whatever. You get the picture.
Mhm.
But it isn't expansible further. It's just one up, one down. Well, this
Right.
is definitely better.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like how we went all those years playing with Magic the Gathering's Fireball and Shivan Dragon and didn't say to ourselves, what a good idea.
Right.
And just, I'm going to pour more mana on this spell and see what happens. Yes, it's better.
Well, I
It's
mean,
awesome.
let's be honest though. It took us until from 1979 to 2004 to figure out that you don't have to have Vancian magic, right?
I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying right now. You're losing me.
I'm never going to postpone the recording.
I don't want to hear this kind of heresy out of you, Sam. That's not. I don't come here for this kind of dirty talk.
I'm just saying. Anyway, so here's the thing. I mean, this is two different ways to deal with, to deal with spontaneously changing the effect of your spell, and it's fine. It's good.
Yep.
You could definitely see the DNA of it in later edition implementation.
Yeah, this is going to trend toward a more standardized position as more and more splat books come out for 3.5. The daily uses thing is actually going to show up in magic items because the meta magic rods wind up working about this way. Approximately, and that's all fine. And so there's still more sidebars. They're fine.
Look, folks, some of these sidebars are so huge they might as well just be their own section.
Yeah, they're third of a page sidebars, and there's several of them running. It's like we're reading Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and I'm here for it. So next up is spell points. Folks, it's a spell point system. I want you to hold on to your butts because it's a spell point system for D&D. You probably haven't seen one of these before. Ever. Not before, not since. Certainly not in 2nd edition Spells and Magic. Certainly not in 4th edition's Psionic system. And absolutely not in the 5th edition DMG.
Nope.
Anyway, I have nothing new to say about the spell point system. Not a word.
Yeah, no.
There's nothing wrong with it. Like it does the thing that you expect with most of the numbers that you would expect. It's fine. There's a nice house rule for simplified NPC spellcasters because, as previously attested, building the stat block for an NPC spellcaster is certainly part of purgatory, if not actually a circle of Dante's hell in 3.0 and 3.5, because so many slots, so many spells, so little time, because they are just not going to live. Then there's a spell point variant that
hold on. You're talking about vitalizing?
Yeah.
So let's go back one. First, it also tries to allow you some flexibility with meta magic and the spell point system, and ultimately it amounts to meta magic costs more spell points to cast that spell.
Sure.
Woo. Okay. Anyway,
that sounds familiar. Of course, that's what you do. Why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Vitalizing. It's fine. It's fine.
And so the one, I guess, thing to always keep in mind about a spell point system is that you are giving players more permission and freedom to have a 15-minute adventuring day because they are more able to dump all of their big stuff faster and earlier, and then they're out.
Yep.
And we'll see them try to solve that in a few more sections. Stick with me.
Yes, we will.
Anyway, vitalizing is all about a risk of taking various negative conditions representing you getting tired as you burn through your spell point pool.
Right.
And
It's okay.
that's very fiction appropriate, if very play miserable.
Right. So that's what I was going to say was this is very much a world building kind of idea.
Yep.
But of all of the options so far that we've talked about with Magic, this is the one that I can see causing the most strife.
Yep. And,
amongst players.
And also, this is one of the most literally directly found in Spells and Magic, the player's option book.
Right.
Because this is channeling.
Right.
It is straight up on the nose, a less onerous system for channeling.
Right.
And that's actually fine. Like, if you want to play a low magic campaign, here you go.
Right. Or you have a conceit that is, similar to Dark Sun, but you're not sucking the essence out of the planet when you cast. Instead, you're sucking the life essence out of yourself when you cast.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's a setting conceit. That's why I say it's a world building aspect.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
The thing is, it's different world building than like the summoning list, right? The summoning list is world building where you're fiddling to make somebody more interesting. Here, you're fiddling to punish a type of PC using the thing they're supposed to be good at, which is casting spells.
I mean, punish.
Well, you know what I'm saying, though.
You need buy-in. You need buy-in.
You need buy-in, but when the fighter swings his sword, and if he makes 10 hits, is he going to get fatigued for doing the thing that he's good at?
I've seen those rules before.
Right. I know. And were they any good?
Reader, they were not.
I think that you get my point. So let's move on.
Yeah. So recharge magic is the next section here. I'm going to sum it up for you really fast in two different ways. The first form is it's a cooldown timer. Like, if you've ever played any video game that has spells on a cooldown, it doesn't have to be World of Warcraft, but this was 2004, so it could have been World of Warcraft. Then you know about cooldown timers. And reader, you do not want to track cooldown timers. You do not. I'm so sorry. The other thing that this is a shockingly clear precursor to Pact Magic.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't thought of
that. Because that's magic on a faster cooldown timer. I mean, that's just what it is. And I don't mean to say that I think you can draw a direct line from point A to point B there, but it's clearly experimenting with a lot of the same idea, right? Of, well, I want to do my cool thing more than once a day. And they note that this is a huge power boost for spellcasters, because it is. But also having tables and tables of each spell's cooldown timer is misery. It's
right.
awful.
I mean, look, Arcane Lock has a 1 hour cooldown time. Okay. Then there's this entry for general in this chart, and here's what general means. General is the recharge time when there's not a standard recharge time. Instead, the recharge time has to do with what level you cast that spell at, and it tells you how many rounds it takes to be able to cast that spell again. So, in other words, these are spells you're going to be making when you're in a round time frame, which means in combat. And so what's funny about these tables is it's kind of ridiculous because the vast majority of the things on this table say general.
Yeah.
Which means you just have to go reference another, piece, and you have to, have that on your DM screen or whatever so that you can adjudicate it during combat.
Right, but they don't have a better way to show a scaling function.
Sure.
They need a word for it. It's a scaling function.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying it's kind of funny. They should have said, they should have just made the table and said, any spell that doesn't have a general recharge time where you have to reference this other thing is in this table. And then they could have just taken every general recharge spell out of the table, and they would have had a half a page of tables instead of 6 pages of tables.
So the reason they don't do that is that they release spells in more than one book, and this table only includes the player's handbook.
Oh, fine.
Yeah, it's a mess. I don't know what to tell you, dude, but like they want to help you remember what book things are in, so you don't have to remember that I don't know, like Grave Strike or whatever was in Complete Scoundrel, and not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. It just
it's a messy bench, but what can you do? And man, the sidebar on Recharge Magic is
it's
more
half
than half
a page.
the page. Yeah, it's enormous.
I know.
And this is a high-powered variant. Go on.
Yeah.
And like if you, so nowadays this would be a far more feasible thing because an entirely device-driven character sheet is so much more attainable in 2020 than it was in 2004. It was technically doable then because everyone could have a laptop at the table, but now it's standard. What are you talking about? Like, I have many players who have never had a physical character sheet, even when we were meeting in person and not these online days when we were vexed by plague.
Yeah. No, I get it. Let me read you this this entry in the behind the curtain. Now, for the audience, the behind the curtain section is supposed to be like, here's the designer's notes on this, right? So that's fine. Like I actually appreciate that. I like getting the little designer's notes and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
but here's this paragraph. It's 2 sentences, but it's a paragraph. As with most high-powered variants, Recharge Magic works only if every spellcaster in the campaign is using it, including powerful NPC spellcasters. A Recharge variant Lich, for example, is a terror for high-level PCs to behold. Now I just really want to run a campaign with a Recharge variant Lich. It's brilliant. I love it. But, I mean, forget it. If I'm already having my party face a Lich, oh my god!
Right, and there would be like interesting stuff that would come out of this. It's just a much more like exalted power level than a 0 to hero D&D power level.
Right,
and that you're okay with it or you aren't. That's about where we are.
Yep.
All
right, and then we move. Unless you have something else to say about this section, we can move to the next section, which is legendary weapons.
So the neat thing about this is that this one does actually become its own book. This whole section is going to get made into a hardcover book that WotC is going to release a couple years down the line. This is Weapons of Legacy. And I think it's really cool that, even within an edition, you can watch them play with an idea and then say, yeah, let's do that thing. Yeah, all right. And they do. And it's interesting. Like, it's a lot, but it's interesting.
Once again, this is a world building.
Oh yeah, it's very much like deciding to play a campaign with that is very unlike playing a campaign without it.
Right.
And I mean, it's kind of its own subgenre of fantasy. Your boy Michael Moorcock was kind of into it, I hear. And that's pretty cool. I mean, nowadays, if we want to have maybe some sort of warlock patron that's all about your bond with some sort of weapon, Black Razor maybe, could be Black Razor. that just shows up in Xanathars. But
Mhm.
in these days of 2004, it was a prestige class because, of course, it was.
Because everything was a prestige class.
Because
But
everything
anyway.
was. And so you weren't really even playing the Weapon of Legacy game until, certainly in the case of Dragonblade, 9th level, right?
Mhm.
Well, 10th sort of, 10th level,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Much later. Um, and that's going to vary slightly uh, by class. Like the Hammer of All Souls is something you can take a little bit earlier if you're a dwarf warrior type who still has enough skill points to buy craft armor smithing or craft weaponsmithing. Good luck, friend. Um, and so on. So there's basically a unique prestige class for warrior types, faith types, spellcasting types
Mhm.
who are different from faith types for some reason, and swift types. Uh, that's a little strange, but the weapons they describe are really cool. In all fairness, because
I don't think it's strange when you think about the idea of the archetype. Right.
sure, it's just like I guess my only take is these probably should have been just rewritten as new base classes and not as prestige
Well,
classes.
sure. I mean, I won't disagree with that for sure. I think, and in that case, it works really well as a campaign,
Yeah,
right? Versus doing something until you get to the 10th level, and then all of a sudden, hey, here's this thing that we haven't talked about the whole rest of the campaign.
right.
You know,
Well, like being the last player to start getting your legendary weapon because you're going after Dragonblade and not Hammer of All Souls.
mhm,
That's not great. It's not. It's not actually ideal.
yeah,
Um, or I mean, you poor thing. You played a rogue and you're going after Dream Striker. Well, you're going to get it a lot later because you ain't got the base stack bonus for it, son.
right,
That's not. It's
yeah.
the problem
No,
with prestige
yeah,
classes, not the problem with
right.
this idea,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
Which is why it ends up getting its own book,
yeah,
right? This idea.
yeah. But like
Yeah,
the weapons they describe again are classy and cool. Um,
right.
Ionon the Burning Staff, Dream Striker, Hammer of All
Hmm.
Souls, Dragonblade. Yeah, I'd hang a campaign on that. Sounds like a pretty good time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Um, so I don't know. I don't
I mean,
see
I
us
don't.
doing a future episode on Weapons of Legacy because no, but
Yeah.
that's not because I don't like the book. It's because we don't have enough to say.
Right.
Um, boy, you think we're digressive now? Just you wait. Um, and so, do you have anything else you want to say about this section?
No, not really.
Okay.
Can you imagine us doing an episode on different magic items through the editions?
I mean, yes, frankly,
No, I mean imagine the digressions.
yes, I can.
That'll be a 12-part series. Anyway,
A 12-part series on the Holy Avenger Sword.
Vorpal Blade. All right.
Every episode opening is just a reading of Jabberwocky.
There you go.
Which
Nice.
I mean, I have a 6-year-old; I can do it from memory, no problem.
Yeah, totally.
So item familiars is the
Yes.
next section. Um, this one you're going to see a little bit like just knocking around in places over the next 16 years.
Hmm.
It's going to show up in some fourth edition Eberron stuff as my familiar is an inanimate object that I've instilled some sentience into and a bond with, um, that kind of deal. Um, we also saw some of those ideas get sort of batted around in some UA stuff for fifth ed.
Hmm.
Um, just every now and again.
I mean, the idea of intelligent items has been around for a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah.
And once
It's your
again,
familiar is a little more unusual, right?
sure. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, it's sort of, it feels like a more natural progression into okay, that's my familiar, huh? Okay, you know,
Yeah.
it's not just out of the blue. It's several concepts put together. It's good. It's okay. I never used it in play, so I mean, not in third edition. So eh,
Yeah.
it seems okay. Just reading through it seems okay. I don't see anything that just makes me go, ah, you know.
Um, well, so it comes into its own as actually being really cool when you get to the inheriting an item familiar section.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're talking about something really neat because it's a much stronger sense of legacy if you are inheriting, I don't know, some sort of tutelary skull from your mentor. He might have been named Harry Dresden. It's possible. Just throwing out
Possible.
names. Um, so yeah, like this, it's pretty neat. That it's a lot. There's a lot here,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm not really going through it all in detail. But that in part that's because I'm really in a hurry to get to my favorite section of the whole chapter.
What's that? Incantations?
Incantations. I am so crazy about this
Are you
because
torturing your cat again? What the hell are you doing?
no more than usual. So I'm so crazy about incantations
Incantations, yes.
because it really heightens a sense of like mystery and ritual around
Mm-hmm.
magic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in in my mind, it's the precursor to fourth ed's rituals, right?
Okay.
That skill
Mm-hmm.
challenge driven situation, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
and that sense of I need to accomplish this thing, but it's not a power I can call on casually or all the time. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it is pretty casual in fourth. Cat, hush. I love you. Hush. I have two cats. They're
The
both
cat. They're trying to cast an incantation.
yeah, the incantation of where my food.
Fires of Dis is what they're.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah. No, I also like this section. I think just for the audience, it allows not a PC that's not typically a spellcaster to cast an incantation, which is a spell like ritual like effect, basically. That's the long and short of it. I
right.
left some details out.
And
Uh,
like with Fires of Dis, I mean that is big and flashy and classy,
mhm,
and
mhm,
they put a lot more like feeling into the description
mhm,
because it's a rarer thing. But I mean, you don't see a ton of spells that start with this incantation, dreamed up by insane cultists, opens a fell rift between the material plane and Dis, the fiery
mhm,
second layer of the nine hells. Uh,
mhm.
Go on, you
Right.
have my attention. Um,
Right.
and like it's pitched as being about as cool as some of the epic level spells
Mhm,
in spells in magic or in the epic level handbook. But like I just so fell in love with the with things like Hrothgar's journey.
mhm,
Like it's a very literal nod to Beowulf. You know,
right.
congratulations.
Of course.
Um, uh, and like there's so much that goes into it. It's magic with so much more labor and purpose and story potential, right?
Hmm.
Um, and it isn't right for most campaigns. I
Right.
readily admit that, but the ones it is for, oh man,
Well, and this has that same sort of idea as what I've been saying for a lot of this chapter. This is world building.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Because here's the thing: these incantations, right? You're imagining, oh well, that this is one person casting this thing, which it could be, okay. But on the other hand, if you're doing an incantation to cast or call fires of dis, that takes 6 required casters to do that. So you're now talking about cultists standing in a circle around whatever components you have set up, whatever environment you have set up, and chanting to make this incantation occur. Or Hrothgar's journey requires what is it, 504 people, because the journey, the story that's being told has different characters, and those other casters involved are supplying the dialogue for the other parts of that story, which is just fantastic as a world building kind of, like, oh, this is you're visiting this population in this town, and it's the eve of the new moon, and they always do this they have this celebration that every eve of the new moon, and really, actually, it's not just a celebration party. It's the 5 elders of the village are doing an incantation, and during that incantation they tell you the story of one of their heroic ancestors or whatever, right? That's just pure world building with some really nice mechanical effects that you can throw in there. And that's
Yep.
awesome. I love that.
I would have absolutely bought just a book of this and like hung it on a campaign that was otherwise pretty restricted to warrior types and rogue types.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it's not for every campaign, but boy is it stylish, and I will take this kind of style just all day long.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a section on creating incantations, and it's very involved. There's a
Mm-hmm.
big old table of modifiers, and it isn't the same as some of the stuff that you get into in the Epic Level Handbook with the
Mm-hmm.
spell seeds and so on. But it's not that unrelated either.
Mm-hmm. But once again, I like this section because, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of times all you get is, hey, here's this concept and here's a couple of examples, and that's
Yep.
it. Here it's actually telling you, it's giving you guidelines, right? Now, if you want to fiddle with it and change it, fine, but here's the guidelines that you can use to create these things for your own campaign. And because the reason that's important in this section is because this really is truly a world building, a setting related item, because think about it like this. Look, how many adventures have had a component where at some point the party has to disrupt the casting of a ritual, or the party has to disrupt the opening of a gate, or the sacrifice of someone as an evil villain is trying to do an incantation and cause something bad to happen.
It's a
I
classic for
mean,
a reason.
it's a trope, it's a cliche, it's expected, it's usually really fun. It's there because it has gravitas.
Yeah.
And this allows you to create specific ones for your game that are meaningful and also have the sort of mechanical weight of it, so that you can actually adjudicate interrupting that incantation,
Yep.
which sadly is not always right. Like, that whole idea is tropey and cliche and is there because it's really fun, and it's kind of it's a very familiar component of fantasy stories. But the way that it's always done, or the way that it's done in multiple adventures, is not that great.
Yep.
So
But I mean, the other neat thing here is that it's offering effects that you would never put into a standard spell that is just part of someone's spell list.
mhm,
In the sidebar, um, they imagine the spell Zedek Grasp Among the Bones, which calls forth a specific Bebelith named Zedek Grasp for a specific job, guarding a tomb. If ordered to do anything else, Zealot Grasp attacks the caster instead. And if Zealot Grasp ever dies while guarding a tomb, the incantation is thereafter useless. Well, that is awesome. That takes the Vancian core conceit, but then blends in a lot more very, very rich fantasy DNA to me, right? Like that feels to me like the intersection of my boy Jack and the previously attested Michael. Like I can see them sort of meeting at a point where, I probably can't stand your writing, but that's a good idea you got there.
Right. Well, and here's the other thing it does. It makes it so that you can create that incantation that only needs, maybe one, third level caster and say 4 or 6 sort of first level or 0th level casters, right? 6 peasants.
Yeah.
So that you're not required to always have the big bad major spellcasting villain be the one doing that incantation.
Yeah.
You can create it so that you can have a bunch of low-level mooks doing that, so that when the party does come and try to disrupt it, or when the party runs into the nest of cultists, they're not all sitting there with 6th level casters.
Right.
So it's good. I really do like this section as well.
Yep. And that brings us to the end of chapter 5.
Final thoughts on the chapter?
Well, I think that they more or less get the increasing effect on a campaign idea right. I mean, you could put in magic rating by class, and you'd barely notice. In fairness, you could put in summon monster variants in some campaigns, and no one would ever find out because they're just not playing summoners. But I think in immediate implementation, you're a little more enthusiastic about metamagic components than I am, but I could get really excited about bringing it to 5th edition in some form because of all the conversation around how we need more stuff to spend money on.
Right.
And then there's a bunch of fairly dry stuff in the middle here. I just can't get too excited about spell points to recharge magic because the bookkeeping on recharge magic is just awful.
Onerous.
It's unbearable unless you can put it all on a device to handle for you. Then we get to legendary weapons, which is an idea so good that it became its own book, and it's classy. Just my patience with prestige classes has run out. And
but again, right? So like, and here's the thing: like the meta magic components, I wouldn't use them as written in this book, right?
Yeah.
And the legendary weapons, I wouldn't use them as written in this book, and the incantations, maybe I kind of would use them mostly as written. Like that's maybe the closest.
Yeah.
But those 3 things, remember, they're world building. They're ways to structure your campaign that make it so that you have these elements in there, and that's what makes the campaign special.
Right. And like that's very much what they were trying to achieve in the player's option spells and magic too. With all those variant magic styles. That was all supposed to be world building.
Right.
If anything, it's strange that there's not a warlock's warlock in here where everyone is engaging in pacts and that's how it all works, right?
Right.
Certainly if you've read a lot of spells and magic, that you'd expect that because but yeah, like there's good stuff in here to mine for ideas. I would not have implemented most of it directly, even when I was running 3.5, other than incantations. But yeah, that's also because I didn't play a lot of 3.5 games that got high enough level to use their legendary weapon rules. So, And so I think that's me for this chapter. And next time, we'll be looking at Chapter 6, Campaigns, which is, as you've said, the chapter you're most excited about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's the chapter that has things in it that I not only enjoy the idea of maybe tweaking them and putting them into my game, but they're varied and interesting, and I don't mind reading about them. I mean, some of the stuff I could use directly in my 5th edition game right now.
Oh, yeah, and actually a fair amount of what's in Chapter 6 is going to go into official releases.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, chapter 6 is my favorite chapter of the book, but we're not there yet. So chapter 5 is maybe my second favorite, just because of the idea of being able to set up your campaign, and change the setting rules in a way that make it memorable.
Yeah, for sure. It's got more style to offer than literally anything we've seen before this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot even express how much I would love to take the incantation system and its incredibly story-rich complexity and combine that with the general classes, the generic classes that we talked about back in Chapter 2.
Yeah.
That incredibly stripped down character sense, where then you're wielding magic that is complicated and thorny and is going to bite you. It actually is going to eat you right into Carcosa if you are not paying close attention to what you're doing and passing those skill checks. Like, that's my jam, guys.
Right. And there's your campaign. Whoops, we messed up. How the hell do we get back and try it again? Because we still have to accomplish the goal that we set out to get in the beginning. We thought it was going to be easy, and it's not. Yeah, no, totally. I'm all in with that too. So,
all right.
Well, so listeners, we hope that you have enjoyed this, and we hope that you're happy with what we're doing. And if you're not, please send us an email at dndbrief@gmail.com. That's dndebrief@gmail.com. Or you could tweet at us. I am at DM Samuel, and Brandis is
at Brandis Stoddard on the bad website.
On the bad website.
It's Twitter, guys. This is the bad place.
It's Twitter, yeah. It's not. Twitter's a bad place. Other than that, I think we can say goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.